library. I'm Sarah Leal, and today I'm going to read the second part of my Christmas book, Naughty and Nice. After the Claus family got out of the hospital, everyone went back to getting ready for Christmas Day. Everything ran smoothly, until Winter noticed Scarlet was missing. "Mommy, Daddy, where's Scarlet?" she asked her parents. Santa and Mary then looked around for Scarlet until Santa found her on the elves' conveyor belt. The elves were just making toys when they saw Scarlet crawling on their conveyor belt and grabbing all the toys that were on it. Then she grabbed some burning coal from Santa's fireplace. Finally, she threw the coal and toys into the toy generator, causing it to explode and burn all of the toys. With the loss of the toy generator, Santa had no choice but to postpone his trip around the world that year. He then recorded a message for all the world to hear. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Santa Claus. Since our toy generator unfortunately exploded, I'm afraid we have to cancel Christmas this year." It was a sad moment for everyone. Kids around the world cried over the loss of their presents, the elves sobbed seeing their hard work go up into flames, and Santa mourned over his favorite time of year being canceled. "Daddy, what are we going to do?" Winter asked her father. Santa responded, "Don't worry, Winter. Me and your mother will make sure your sister never gets another Christmas canceled ever again." Years later, Santa Claus was deciding which one of his two daughters was going to be his new assistant. Of course, Santa chose Winter to be his assistant because she was the wisest, the oldest, and the nicest of the two. However, Santa also chose Winter because he was afraid Scarlet would cause a lot of Christmases to get canceled. Because of this, Scarlet got jealous of Winter, and she wanted her to run away and never come back. Then, Scarlet got an idea that was so vile, it just might work. Later that day, Scarlet came up to Winter and said, "Hey Winter, go outside. Everyone in the North Pole is throwing a parade just for you." Winter gasped and asked Scarlet, "Do you really mean it?" Scarlet responded, "Of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to celebrate the nicest person in the North Pole?" Scarlet then opened the door so Winter could run outside and see the parade. However, once Winter came outside, she came to realize that there was no parade after all. Then she sadly walked to Dasher, the reindeer, and hopped on his back. "I guess the North Pole doesn't need me after all," Winter said as she flew far away on Dasher. Once the sun set in the North Pole, Mr. and Mrs. Claus noticed that Winter was missing. They were very worried about their eldest daughter, so they asked the elves if they knew where Winter was. However, all of the elves responded with, "I don't know." Then Santa and Mary asked the reindeer if they knew where Winter was. The red-nosed one named Rudolph responded, "I believe Winter flew to the South Pole, but I don't know if she's ever coming back here." With the possibility of Winter never returning, Santa had no choice but to hire Scarlet as his new assistant. Once Santa told Scarlet that she was going to become his new assistant, Scarlet smiled once she realized things were finally going her way. Once Scarlet became Santa's new assistant, life in the North Pole went downhill very quickly. Scarlet melted all of the North Pole snow, forced the reindeer to be her slaves, and told the elves to break every single toy they made. Santa Claus knew he had to speak out against Scarlet's ways, so he went up to Scarlet and said to her, "This isn't right! Your vision of Christmas will never replace the true holiday. I demand you to return everything to the way it was." "Tell that to the judge, Dad," Scarlett responded as police officers put Santa in their car and drove him to court. When Mary saw her husband being taken to court, she knew what had to be done. So she went to Rudolph, hopped on his back, and flew to the South Pole to find Winter. To be continued. Thanks for watching the second part of my book, and I'll see you next time. Bye!